Alright guys, here we are at the Crew Flint Penn Strand Trail. This is the lake's entry to the trail we hiked just not too long ago. We actually hiked this section of the trail over here. We're at the lakes here. We're going to hike across to the Bird Rookery Trail. We're going to see how far that is. I'm guessing somewhere between 3 and 5 miles to get there. Then we're going to come back out and we're going to go back around the back side of the lakes and access this parking lot from that side. So again, Crew Flint Penn Strand, and beautiful day. Alright guys, here we go. So again, this is the lakes. It's part of the Crew. So on our last video, hiking video, we came to this and just kind of did a quick overview, but we did not take any of the trails. So we took the backside, which is back there, and attempted to get across to the road, which is on the other side of these lakes. We were able to do that, and so today we're actually going to take the trails around the lakes and find out if we're able to, if it's dry enough, if we can get through. If not, we'll cut back around, go up the high ground on this side, and that'll give us access. And then again, we're going to connect to the trails that go over to the Crew, the Bird Rookery Swamp. So, beautiful little area. There is fishing in these lakes. I've heard there's good bass in here. I haven't caught anything, but I do see fish swimming around down here. Doze. So the only thing that I know of that's in here is bass, but I'm sure there's Oscar, and I would guess there's Mayans in here. There's probably tilapia. Any of these bodies of water like this usually will have some tilapia in them. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but down along the water's edge, tons of minnows swimming around. So we're gonna head up the trail. I'll bring you back in a second. All right, guys, back on the trail. We let Dozer do a little dip quick. I turned the camera off. I want to watch him. There are a lot of gators in these lakes, and I just spoke with a fisherman who said that that he saw probably 8 or 9 right in here, and then another 8 or 9 in the other portion of the lake. So he said they're pretty reluctant to move as well. So we'll keep a sharp eye on Dozer and keep him out of the water quite a bit here. And on we go. He doesn't want to give up that spot. He says, I like this spot. Doze, come here. Stay here, bub. These wet areas, you really got to watch them. You never know what's lying up in there. So we are coming up on the second lake. Those diving birds, they sure like those. I don't know what they are. It looks like they have a measurement on there, so something for tracking the water. They sure like sitting on them. So that diving bird we've seen before. Now they around here you'll often see them sitting on the edge of the road or on a tree, and they have their wings out and they're drying off. So that bird does not have natural oils like most birds do, so it doesn't shed the water, you know, like most water birds do. And so when they get out of the water after feeding, they have to hold their wings out and basically air dry them. So it's kind of interesting. You'll see them along the roadways, along the channels, with their wings spread open. And so this little trail kind of follows around the lake here. It's going to stop up here, but there is a kind of rustic continuation. That's what we're going to try to grab. Getting pretty brave, buddy. Although I think the big gator's on the end of that island there. I think I see him laying up on the sand. So, oh, and there's one walking. I don't know if you can see it. Just getting into the water. probably saw Dozer splashing around and he's thinking, now we're cooking. Something up for dinner. He's actually got his tail right on the edge of that shore, and I can see his head, so he's still right on the point. He's not moving this direction. If I threw a stick in for Dozer and let him swim, that gator would come a-hopping. No, bud. No sticks now. There might be, yeah, looks like, yep, there's one right on the point. He's starting to swim out right now. Come here, bud. Come here, bud. You can see, I don't know if you can see him or not. Just swimming out there. He's heading away. He doesn't want anything to do with us. But the other one on the other side of the island's getting curious. He's making his way this direction. Come on, bud. So we're not gonna hang out here with the gators. We're gonna keep Dozer moving. And we'll see how muddy our trail gets. You can see here, it's getting pretty muddy. One thing nice too about having a dog is you can often send him first and see just how just how muddy everything is. You know, if he sinks down to his ankles, we're probably not going to want to go in there. So, as you can see, the trails here. This is why I wanted to find that road. I wanted to see, because you can see this very easily. One quick rain and this is going to be very, very wet. Today it's nice. But when finding that road path, that's an easy connection across. Yeah, see this birdhouse here, that's new. Well, we were able to get across. That's kind of nice. Now you can see we're coming up on a road. Now I have seen a vehicle on this road one time. This will run up there, and I think it just dead ends up by the development. You can see you can see probably the rooftops of houses there. And then this runs, I don't even honestly know where this runs to. I've been back on that side quite a ways with the truck. There's a bunch of trails back in there that do connect to this road. However, they're gated, and again, they require the hunter's pass. So I'm not exactly sure how the vehicle accessed it. It's very possible they had some type of a hunting pass and were able to get in there. This is a very interesting area. I don't know 100%, but I believe that it was supposed to be development that they end up buying. So we have this little brick piece in the road here. There's no water here. I believe this is the trail that we need to access to cut across over to the rookery. So we were actually up there a little ways the other day when we cut across. That trail just kept on going. So we're gonna head back in here. After we get back in here about a half a mile, I'll know whether or not it is the trail. There's a couple cutoffs to it and such. Always stop for the good eats. Got a couple tassels there. Got our leaf with the veins that run all the way from the base to the end of the leaf. I've been noticing a few of these along the trail. Handy dandy bread bag. And I thought, man, why not pick a few? Look at this big guy up here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Got the right leaves. Man, this guy's huge. Look at that, you guys. So those are awesome because I'll I use those for a variety of things. They're one of my favorite here in Florida, like I mentioned before. And so I'll use them, I'll mix them up for omelets. I'll just saute them up and serve them with fish or meat. Serve them with anything really as a side vegetable. You can add them into wraps. You can do just about anything with them. Because again, they have a, you know, their flavor is green bean or asparagus like, and which matches a lot of, fits along with a lot of things. Need to put my pack back on, so. Alright guys, I'm going to pick a few of these and I'll bring you back in when I see something else of interest. You stay away from those guys. Alright guys, I want to show you something. The importance of always paying attention, especially here in Florida. It's all dry here, so I was not paying that much attention to him. So he slipped down into the edge there to visit that guy. Luckily, he's smart enough to stay far enough away to not get messed with. But it's dry here. There's just a tiny splotch of water down there. But there he is. Water or not. What are you going to do? Always keep an eye on them here in Florida. Kids and dogs. They're kind of pretty. Whenever I see these, I always think mustard greens, and I get up to them and there's nothing there. They're the oddest little plant. Get off my shadow there. So if you look, they have no leaves. They're the strangest thing. But they sure make the pretty trail. They light it right up. Here we go. So I am hoping to get to some of this later. This patch is pretty dry and it's pretty small, so I'm not really going to mess with it. But I caught the smell of it, and you can see down in there, little curly leaves. Lemon Bocapa. So again, I use that for my teas. I dry it up, and then it gives a great kind of lime flavor to teas. But, and so how do I know that? You know, how do I know that, oh, here we go, guys. This is getting harvested on the way out. So here's a nice patch. All the way over here. There's some in the trail. Now, it's out of season. It's not flowering or anything. When you get out here at the right time, maybe after the first few rains, it'll start to flower and it'll get super green. So I might wait for most of my harvesting. Actually, I will until then. But how did I learn that? You know, so one day I'm out here, I smell that and I recognize the scent. Again, I think it smells kind of menthol and eucalyptus-like. And so I took multiple photos of it and put it on a couple forums and just said, hey, what do you think this is? And nobody really knew for sure, but they guided me in a certain direction. They kind of gave me a species to look at and or a family to look at, and then through that I was able to look at some books and do some additional research, and you know, based on the look, the flower, the leaves, the smell, I was able to figure out what it was. Then I incorporated it into a tea with moringa, and I really enjoyed it. So now it's something I look for. Now that is something I never heard of until that day. Just taking some pictures of something interesting, doing some research. And certainly I have discovered many things that were not edible. I've discovered more things not edible than things that are. And that's okay. I mean, that's part of the fun, is learning. So we're on the new trail now. This, you can see, we're in a little more thick woods. We still have a lot of cypress, so at some points during the rainy season, this is all going to be underwater. But it does seem a little higher than the previous stretch we were in. You can see there are some brand new poles here. I mean, those are brand spanking new. Last time I was on this little branch here, they were still cutting trees, or not trees, but cutting brush back. And so this trail is the right one. This will connect to the Bird Rookery. I don't know, I estimate somewhere between 3 and 5 miles. I can't remember, it's been a while, to get to that Bird Rookery Trail. Then the loop on that Bird Rookery Trail would be somewhere around I suppose 9 or 10 miles. So, I mean, you could easily do 14 miles there and back if you took this trail. So that's a heck of a day's hike. I think maybe one of these days, because it's quiet back in here. I rarely see anybody in here. I have seen people here, but very rarely. I think one of these days I'm going to head out to the Bird Rookery, do the loop, and then right when you come out of the Bird Rookery, there's some good thick woods. I think a guy could put a hammock up, spend the night, and then head on out the next day. And along the way, plenty of wild greens to pick up and make a little evening camp supper. As you can see, these posts, man, they are brand spanking new. So I think the person that told me this was finished was right. They have completed it. It's just not marked or mapped at this point, so which is fine. I think that's even better. All right, guys. Well, this winds through here. Looks pretty much the same for a while. I'll bring you back when we change up, or if I see anything interesting. You getting hot, bud? Woohoo! Ooh, check that out, guys. That's pretty cool. That's an air plant. So again, that's not part of that tree. That is a plant that landed on it and made it its home. I think they're pretty cool. It's actually a cypress tree that it's on. You'll see them all over here, but I love it when they get colorful. And you'll see a million varieties of them. Yeah, usually you look up and you'll see them hanging in the branches, in the trees. They're all over the place. A little earlier I saw the young cypress growing up, and they're really a neat tree when they're young. And here's a couple starting, really green. They'll grow in like this one here. You can see they grow in like a little clump. They're super pretty. Here's a couple young ones just starting. They're just so radiant green, it's interesting. And I'm telling you what, guys, it is so quiet back in here. I mean, there's a housing development somewhere to my right, and you can't hear it. All I can hear is the breeze. And of course, huff and pant up there. Guys, we're coming up on the first split on this trail. You can see that just wasn't that long ago, and this was all underwater. As we talked about before, all the little minnows stuck in there. Now that actually runs to a little development. I've walked up in there. I'm not sure where this trail to the left goes. There is a no trespassing sign. You can see this used to be old pasture land. But you'll also notice this is Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation. So this is part of that land management. So, you know, when you come out of this into this first split, just go straight. Again, the one to the right is going to take you into a development, and we're just going to go straight here. I don't actually know if that land on the left is private property. That's a really old sign, and you know, the fence is really old. Pretty cool air plant. So I'm not exactly sure where that goes, what the deal is. So when you come out, at least for me, I just stay right to the main path here. And, ooh, looky here. Did you find a Cheeto? He found himself a Cheeto. Dozer's a forager too, aren't you, bud? Trail snack. All right. Nice wide trails. We've widened back up now. And for the most part, this will stay wide now going through here. So you have that one spot of narrowness, but there's no, there's no roots, there's no cypress knees. You know, this is real easy walking or, you know, real easy biking when it's dry like this. Now, all of this will be wet at different times. So, you know, you want to keep that in mind. We're in, you know, I think it's March. Well, it's my daughter's birthday. I better know what day it is. It's March 14th. So it's mid-March. Everything's dry. We won't see the real rainy season come until end of May, beginning of June. And so now is a great time. And the temperatures are still down too. You know, we're running in the 70s, low 80s, humidity's down. So this is a great time to be out on these trails. And you'll get into some trails that you can't normally access. And that's great because in September, you're not going to be able to get through here. Everything will be underwater. So this is a great time to explore. Now, if my memory serves me right, we are coming up on another split. Now this one is a little different. So if you'll notice that path there, that's the road. I mean, that's obviously the road by most standards, most taken. This one here, however, is the road less taken. You can see by the post here that they are still working back here and intend to mark this. So when you're coming on this trail, you hit the first split and you just keep going straight. And then you come to the second split and you can either go straight or to your left, and you go to your left. Now this will just take you straight to the Crew Bird Rookery Trail. And so basically you just stay on that trail until your second split and then take a left, and that'll take you right to the Crew. Now if you do the loop, what's interesting is I keep doing the 12-mile loop on the Crew and I never see where this trail comes out. It's like, I don't know, I just completely miss it because I'll get done. I'm like, I never saw it. So if you do that, you want to keep your eye out for it so you don't have to do the loop twice. Guess you can, if you got your hammock with, you can throw it up and spend the night and do it the next day. You can tell it was wet here. All along here there's been snail shells. Now I don't find the big ones in here. When I get up around the canals in town, I find the big apple snails and I get their shells and we make a candle out of them. They actually are really pretty. Now that first section of trail, I should warn you, that is that's not shaded. When you go across those wetlands by the lakes, that's sun. And that first probably mile on that trail, when you come off the road, that's all sun. When you get into the windy part, then it gets very shaded. And back in here, there's quite a bit of shade. There's spots you can pull aside here and sit in the shade and hydrate and cool down just a hair. Now it's probably, I don't know, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's daylight savings time, so we actually have until probably 7. Ah, here's a spot. I just see this lemon Bocapa. Now this is nice and tender and green. On the way back, I'm gonna harvest some of that. Oh, it smells so nice back here. I love it. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I'm not going to do the loop today. I'm going to go to the loop, which again I estimate is somewhere, I don't know, between 3 and 5 miles. And then I'm going to turn around. So if it is 5 miles, I'll still get 10 miles on with the return. And but what I'll do is I'll throw an app on when I turn around, and that'll track my distance. I use the Map My Hike app. I don't map it, and that one actually gives me distance and time and some other stuff. I don't use any of that. All I have it on for is I want the distance that I traveled, and to save on battery life, I don't run it in the beginning. So basically, whenever I turn around, then I'll turn it on. Sometimes I branch off into little trails for a little bit, and so maybe I do 2.5 miles, then I double that for the turnaround, and then maybe I went a 1/4 mile in. Oh, excuse me. Maybe I go a 1/4 mile in, a 1/4 mile out, so I might just add a 1/4 mile on or do a 1/2 mile on. I tend to branch off every now and again, so it all adds up about the same. So I can estimate pretty close to what I've done. But you can see in here, we don't have a lot of visibility into the woods. This is super thick and quiet. This is beautiful country back in here. You want to escape the noise and get out in the quiet? I really recommend this trail. All right, guys, stay. Dozer, stay. So we have reached the Bird Rookery. Stay. We've reached the Bird Rookery Swamp Trail. I have Dozer staying behind me because as we approached, something rather large splashed around over here. I am pretty sure I know what that is. And you can see that this is all wet in here. Now there are mountain bike tracks through here. So the last set of bikes that went through here went right through it. So I know it's not very deep. I just have my hiking tennis shoes on today, so I'm not going to brave it. But you can see the trail right ahead of me. So you can jump on this. That'll take you back out to the Bird Rookery parking lot. Or again, you could just do the loop. That loop is probably, again, 9, maybe 10 miles. But for today, we're going to throw an app on, track our distance back, and do a little foraging on the way back. Right, bud? You gonna go back? Oh, look at that nice mud. We're gonna have to give you a bath in the lake. Come on, other way. Let's go. Nope, let's go. Come on. Let's go. We're not gonna go see what splashed. Now, this got pretty wet. Now, you can walk the edges, though, and stay up out of the water and mud. And most of it got a pretty wide edge to it, and you're just fine. Now right up here, you can see the trail gets really wet. And so what I've got to do is just skimmy along the side here of the edge. But I wanted to take a minute and point this out. When you grab into the trees or the bushes along the edge of something like this, pay attention to where your hand is going. 2 things. Pay attention to what's on it. Make sure there's no spiders or anything, snakes for that matter on that. But 2, there's also a lot of thorny plants. And I'll tell you what, it really interrupts a beautiful hike if you grab tightly onto a greenbrier stalk or another thorny bush. So I'm going to turn the camera off and we're going to go through this, and I'll bring you back on when we find something of interest. Alright guys, I wanted to show you this. That lemon Bocapa I mentioned flowers. So this is the only one that I've seen so far with a flower. But it's a pretty little plant. And that's its flower. So another way to identify it. Actually a bunch of it along here. So time to turn the camera off. Add a little bit to my bag. Take 5, Doze. He's starting to run. This is the path home, and he senses those lakes up there and wants to get in there. So he'll pick up his speed now, and I'll have to start calling him back. Man, it's yellow in here. I love those little flowers. They just light it up. All right, guys, we are coming back out to the road. So we're back to where we jumped onto this trail. Now, if you remember from the last video that I hiked out here, when we discovered that you could get across on the service road, we took a trail back, and eventually I turned around, it was wet. Well, today that trail was dry, and I discovered it while the camera was off. I took a little offshoot and just see where it went a little ways, and pretty quickly found myself back to where I had been that day. So there's a lot of little loops back in here that you can hike. You can see now we're back to the lakes. He wants to go explore them, but we're not. What we're going to do now is, our goal last time was to see if we could get across on the service road, which we could. And so now what we're going to do is take that service road back so that we know exactly how far of a hike it is from that parking lot to the Bird Rookery. This, guys, that's the trail that we hiked in on our last quest. And that's where we just were. This is the culvert here that had the water and the fish in it. Even though there wasn't a whole lot of water, there's always a bunch of fish in this, even in this shallow water. So I thought that you had to go that way, so I had it kind of backwards, but we got there today. And there are fish in that. There's a diving bird back in there hunting. Oh yeah, there he goes. See, he's drying his wings, so he's been down in the water. Ever watchful though. If you look real carefully, you can see the water rippling. See the fish feeding in there. That's what he's after. All right, so we're heading back up the service road. So if you parked at the second parking lot of the crew, the crew trails, the Flint Penn, sorry about that. If you parked at the second parking lot and walked straight in on that service road, this is where you would be. And then you would come up and you could either go straight, and that eventually would loop, but the trail was wet today. Or I'm sorry, it was dry today, it was wet last time, so you're not quite sure which one you're going to get. This one has been dry every time I've walked. So you'd come up to the split here, you'd take a right, and you'd go to the very next trail to your left, and then that would take you in where we went today. And again, you can take the shorter distance right up along the lakes there. However, if you're not comfortable with the gators, or that will be wet part of the year. So if it's wet and you can't get through, you can always access it via this service road. And what we're going to do today is we're going to go up to that second, just not quite to that second parking lot, and then we're actually going to hook left and there's another kind of service road that'll run us back to that parking lot. So I'll shut this off and I'll bring you back when we get up to that split. I told him just get a drink, but apparently you have to do the whole body thing, which I guess maybe there was some mud back there, so maybe that's a good thing. You like that? Oh, that feels good, huh? Now you can get Daddy's truck all wet. Woohoo! Ready to get back on the road? All right, slave driver, let's get back on the road. Always take a minute to enjoy the beauty of nature. Alright guys, I don't know if you can see the gates back there because the sun's kind of shining right at us. Those gates, if you can see them, if not, they're just a little ways up. That's the gates. Right on the other side of those gates is the second parking lot of that we launched from during our last hike. This is the service road I mentioned. So this is going to run us right back to our truck. And it's looking that we're going to end up at about 3 miles is going to be my guess. I probably put another mile and a half on off camera, just exploring some other trails. But the straight route in, I'm going to say 3 miles when we're all said and done. So we're going to head along here. Looks like I got a dog coming, so I'll pull Dozer off, get him out of the way, and we'll bring you back. You guys, you can see the little parking lot over there. Outhouse. That's where we're headed. Somebody with a fishing rod in their hand heading out. Man, it's been a great hike. Thanks for coming along. I hope it was worth it. We saw some nice wild edibles. I've got a heck of a nice bag of wild edibles, and a real nice bag with lemon Bocapa. I've got Gouda Cola, Smilex, and again the lemon Bocapa and the Gouda Cola, that'll be dried up. It'll be it'll be washed really good, air dried overnight. Then it will be dehydrated, stored in vacuum sealed bags, and then as I get additional herbs to put in there, I'll probably go forage up some Biden's Alba and dry that out, add that to it, and I'll probably get a little bit more of the Gouda Cola to add into it. And maybe I'll get some moringa here this spring on my moringa trees that I can add into it. And that'll make for a nice healthy tea. Now this pole right here, there's a little trail coming in here. That's actually the trail we came in on last time. So when we left that second parking lot, and we just did that quick little jaunt over here to do the panorama of the lakes. That's the trail that we came in. So we could actually jump on that right now, and we could go do another probably 5 miles, or a good 3.5 probably, back in those trails as well. But tonight we've got things to do, and Dozer wants his dinner. So we are going to call it a night. Again, thanks so much for joining us, and in the meantime, between now and the next hike, be sure to get outside and do something wild.